his creation called Dream Spell he's working on. And we used to sit and we'd take we didn't have our shoes on, but we'd sit and we would count with our fingers and our toes, and so that we could understand the dream spell. And we understood it, even though the beach was a little distracting. But José Argüelles is a man who first introduced the date December 21st, 2012, into the mass consciousness when he wrote The Mind Factor. José is the initiator of the Harmonic Convergence Global Peace Meditation in 1987. We, personally, Robin and I were on the Big Island at that time. What a great celebration that was all over the world. I'm sure many of you participated. José is also the founder of the annual Whole Earth Festival in 1970 in California, and one of the originators of the Earth Day concept. Following a life-changing vision at age 14, atop the Pyramid of the Sun and you know where I mean, Mexico. I know, you know you're going to do it ahead of time, you know. Anyway, José began a lifelong journey to discover the underlying mathematics and prophecies associated with the Mayan calendar. By uncovering the Mayan codes, José discovered the telepathic nature of time. He also realized that the human species is living in artificial time, which is disrupting its planetary environment and destroying its civilization. To expand his vision of world peace, José co-founded the Planet Art Network and the World 13 Moon Calendar Change Peace Movement. He is presently director of the Galactic Research Institute at the Foundation of the Law of Time, and most recently convened the first bioregional noosphere congresses held at numerous sites worldwide. Through the Noosphere 2 research project, he is exploring synchronic time and states of consciousness, co-producing the 7-volume series, Cosmic History Chronicles, and promoting the vision of Earth as a work of art. Let's give a nice, big, warm welcome. Oh, no, hold on, no, not yet. Today is his birthday. Shall we? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Oh. Happy birthday to you. Ladies and gentlemen, José Argüelles.
Well, Cody let the cat out of the bag. Just want to let you know that we come in the name of peace. This is the banner of peace, first introduced to the world by Nicholas Roerich in 1929 after his trip to Central Asia in search of the ancient kingdom of Shambhala. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for his work with the Banner of Peace in 1935. The Roerich Peace Pact was signed at the White House in Washington, D.C. with Franklin Roosevelt and all the heads of states of the Pan-American nations. We've been working with this banner all the time. It signifies peace through culture, that the way to peace is through culture, and that through understanding that where there is peace, there is culture, and that where there is culture, is peace, we intend to promote peace around the world. And as Cody said, our vision is the transformation of Earth into a work of art. No, the Banner of Peace just so you know, you're looking at a circle, a magenta circle inside of 3 spheres. Usually those spheres are thought to represent the union or the unity of art, science, and spirituality, that they're indissoluble unity. The circle, red circle around, represents the unity of all human culture. And the color red magenta is the color of the human blood. All humans, no matter what color they are, what their belief is, it's same blood, same color, as my old friend of the Hawaiian sovereignty movement, Bumpy Kanahoa, used to say, when a person bleeds, you don't see any flags. I'd like to begin with the prayer. This is Sunday morning. We're still living on the Christian calendar. So we'll have a prayer. It's not a Christian prayer, it's a galactic prayer. Prayer to the 7 galactic directions. From the east, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us so we may see all things in clarity. From the north, house of night, may wisdom dawn in us, may wisdom ripen in us so we may know all from within. From the west, house of transformation, may wisdom ripen in us into right action so we may do what must be done. From the south, house of the eternal sun, may right action reap the harvest so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. From above, house of heaven, where star people and ancestors gather, may their blessings come to us now. From below, house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies to end all war. From the center, galactic source, which is everything, which is everywhere at once, may everything be known as the light of mutual love. Ayum hunabku. Evam maya emaho. Ayum hunabku. Evam maya emaho. Ayum hunabku. Evam maya emaho. The prayer to 7 galactic directions. It's important that we recognize when we talk about something like 2012, the tipping point, that we're actually talking about a spiritual dimension of reality, that we live in the material plane for the most part with our physical bodies, our third dimensional instrumentation to navigate us through this sometimes very dense physical plane. But at the same time, we are spiritual beings as well, and that we live equally in a spiritual dimension, though often we may be unconscious of it. Ayum hunabku. Hunabku is the Mayan term for the what we might call the Supreme One, the One God. Hunabku literally means the one giver of movement and measure. Everything we experience is a process of movement. Even as we sit, we are moving 19 miles a second on this planet as it goes in its orbit. And measure. Everything has its quality of form, its dimension of form. One giver of movement and measure. Movement is time, and measure is space. That we move through time. We talk about time, about spaceship Earth, but we also talk about timeship Earth. That we are not just moving in space, but we are evolving in time. We are a part of a larger plan of cosmic evolution that evolves in time. So yes, you can plot the orbit of our planet in a matrix of space, but we are also moving as a trajectory in time, an evolving celestial body moving in a trajectory of time. Time and space, but before there is time and space, there are two other dimensions. There is the dimension of number and the dimension of mind. First, there is mind. Mind is the substratum of the universe. Everything is evolved and springs forth from mind. The great universal mind, the great reflective mind of the Supreme One, of the Creator, Hunabku. From mind, when mind begins to move out of its incredibly immense vastness of infinite eternity, when it begins to have a flicker, it moves as number. It is said, all is number, God is a number, God is an all. Number is what is created as the frequency matrices that allow time and space to come into dimension. We don't know space without measurement. Okay. As we say, the 4 quadrants of space. Okay. That's a number. We know that. Okay. The 4 corners of space, or the 8 winds, including the directions between the 4 points. We need number to understand that. So the 4 quadrants of space. We need number to understand time, the passage of time. How many moons ago was that? Oh, that was 3 moons, when the moon became full 3 times, and then we were here. Number is what allows us to distinguish space and time. Mind is the originator. There's a universe of mind totally apart from this physical universe that we live in. And there is a dimension of number that exists independent, yet interactive with the universe of time and space. This universe of number is the universe also of telepathic communication. Telepathic communication becomes embedded in the matrices of space and time, and when we come to recognition of different things, we have ahas, and that's because we have connected. There's mind, there's number, there's space, the 4 quadrants of space, the 9 dimensions of time. The 4 dimensions of time are the 4 external dimensions of time, which we know as the 4 seasons, or the 4 ages, the 4 yugas, the 4 stages of the waxing and the waning of the moon. Those are the 4 external time dimensions. Then there are the radial time dimensions, the parallel universe time dimensions, the alternative universe time dimensions, where we have paranormal activation, and we have deja vus and subliminal suggestions coming from other world systems. And we have the 2 vertical time dimensions, which are where the different, if you wish to call it, commands of creation flow through the 2 vertical dimensions. Parallel radial dimensions are the 5th and the 6th time dimensions, and the vertical are the 7th and the 8th. And then there's a central time dimension, the 9th. Everybody sits on a plane and sees the guy in front of you doing Sudoku. Look at that. Sudoku is based on the matrix of the 9 time dimensions. And it's a very primitive form of beginning to learn about the dimension of number. It's an advance over crossword puzzles because it's just number. And you got all these, and it's 9 numbers. It's the 9. The 9 is the number of the heart. It's the universal solvent number. And so you see Sudoku. It's based on that same matrix of the 9 time dimensions. And then there's the 5th of these dimensions: mind, number, space, time. And then the 5th is the dimension of synchronicity, or the synchronic order. The synchronicity or the synchronic order is when in self-reflective consciousness or intelligence puts together what's happening simultaneously in the dimensions of mind, number, space, and time. That you have, and then the mind puts something together at a particular moment, which is a conjunction of a time and a space matrix, a number, reflective mind, and you have, aha, it's 1111. You look at the digital, that's what you notice, there's always a number. Wow, look at that license plate, YAX144. That's my number. People have numbers. So you see, these are, and when we're talking about synchronicity, we're just talking about the tip of the iceberg. Synchronicity is the dimension of mind that occurs when you're liberated from all of your material attachments. From when you're liberated from living solely in the physical plane, when you're liberated from being a slave of money and all these other kinds of things. Then you move into the dimension of synchronicity. Ayum hunabku, one giver of movement and measure. Ayum hunabku, evam maya emaho. Evam maya emaho translates as all hail the unity of mind and nature. All hail the unity of mind and nature. We have the universe that we live in, this dimension of time and space that we live in, where we have separated our mind from nature. What Cody referred to in the introduction, what we've identified as our living in artificial time allows us to separate our mind from nature, allows us to do whatever the hell we want to nature. And we're reaping the results very rapidly right now. So, Eva Maya Emaho, all hail the unity of mind and nature. There is no separation between our mind, the universal mind, cosmic collective mind, and the entirety of the natural order. All of that is a single unified entity. We live in unity. It is our mind alone that lives in the world of illusion, that creates the world of illusion for us, that makes us believe that somehow or other we're separated from source, or we're separated from nature, or we're separated from God, or we're separated from our fellow man or woman, or we're separated from nature. That's all just because of fictions and illusions that we carry in our mind. The fact of the matter is that the spiritual dimension and spiritual truth is so elegant and so simple. Just so elegant, so simple. But people tend to be so attached to their versions, their storylines, their versions of reality, of what they think is going on. People are so attached to the chaos and the confusion of their mind. People think that if they submit and surrender their ego to God or to a higher cause or to the divine plan or whatever you want to call it, just surrender your ego. People think that they're going to lose their freedom. But what they think their freedom is all their busy thoughts whipping them around like so many dead leaves in the wind, like the wind that's blowing today. They think that's freedom, because their leaves, their dead ideas keep being recirculated and blown around by the wind. True freedom only begins when you enter the spiritual dimension, because then your mind is open into the higher reality. You cannot experience true freedom. We've seen that again and again over the history. Every revolution ends up as another form of enslavement. Every revolution ends up as another form of dogmatism, as another way of keeping ourselves enslaved to a particular idea. The only true freedom comes when we surrender and open our mind, our heart, completely into the spiritual dimension, and then become open, really open to what comes in, to really open and listen, open our eyes, open our ears, open our hearts, open our eyes, open our ears, open our hearts. Forget the garbage in your head. Forget what you just told yourself you think might be or might not be. Fact is, no theory works because it has nothing to do with reality. Theories are not reality. Reality is reality, and you can only confront reality directly with a naked mind, with an open heart. It's the only way. And why are we talking about this? Do you know what time it is? We're talking about 2012. It's the time. What is the time? There's a very, very brief surah in the Quran, Surah 103, called The Time. It says, by the time, surely man is at a loss, except for those who know how to work righteous deeds, who exhort each other in the mutual practice of truth, and who have patience and perseverance. Everyone else is lost. So sometimes that surah is translated as by the afternoon. Surely man is at a loss. You notice, you can get up in the morning and say, wow, I got it together, did my yoga, Tai Chi, my meditation, did my mantras, get up, then you're at the office or whatever, cell phone, blah, 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 blah. 2 martini lunch, who knows? Back to whatever you thought was work. And by the late afternoon, what yoga, what mantra, what meditation. Surely man is at a loss. The late afternoon is the late afternoon of civilization. We are surely in the very late afternoon civilization. Civilization has gone off and it's at a massive cocktail hour. Doesn't realize that the surf is now building and is about to send a wave smashing through the beautiful cocktail bar window. By the afternoon, surely man is at a loss. That's where we are. That's we have to say. What does it mean then? If you know that this is the time, well, why else talk about 2012? You know, what other reason we talk about 2012? This is the Prophets Conference. Prophets. Who are the prophets? 2012, tipping point. I've known Robin and Gary, like you said, for many, many years. I knew them before they got this idea for getting all of us together. And so it's a very grand kind of moment. The prophets. Who are the prophets? Are those people who say, hey, like, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, this will surely come down on you. And at the end, you know, you're going to have to reap what you sow. Okay. Whoever the prophets are, that's the essential message. All prophets have the same message. And all prophets have ultimately, finally pointed to this moment in time. This is the time. The prophets are saying, this is the time when we are all reaping what we sow. This is the big karmic ripening. We have been traveling heedlessly on our little space-time ship. We've been badly managing it, very badly managing it. We've been managing our time-space ship like it's 185 pieces of real estate. And each piece of real estate has its own proprietor and its own manager, and says, if I don't get my way, I'm not going to cooperate with the rest of you. And every single one of those proprietors is saying the same thing. That's what happened at Copenhagen. Copenhagen, everyone said, you're not going to do it my way. And if you don't do that, I'm not going to do this. It's like watching a bunch of kids. And this was the world leadership, supposedly. That was the tipping point as far as political leadership goes. Forget it. That they were given the monumental task every day. They can go and read the facts and the figures and the statistics of the heating up of the North Pole, the melting of the ice shields, which is more and more rapid, the glaciers in the Himalayas, the ice shield in Greenland, the huge chunks of ice dropping off the Antarctic, great fluctuations in temperature. But no one wants to quit. No one wants to take off their tie and say, let's get real. We're very badly managed. When you got a spaceship, when you send a rocket into space, you got a very specific kind of plan, a design. It has to hit a particular trajectory, go into orbit at a particular moment at a particular speed, and then it has to follow precisely very, very clear instructions. One set of commands, one set of instructions. The one thing the human race hasn't learned in the last 5,125 years is to accept the fact that it is a single planetary organism through its intelligence responsible for guiding this time ship safely into the next evolutionary stage. That's what the human race has very little time to learn. That we cannot any longer afford to operate this thing with 185 different managers. none of which agree, and none of which even can even begin to comprehend that this is a unitary system. We are operating a whole system. This is a planetary whole system design process. And we've been given the great opportunity, should we choose, of waking up to this fact and realizing that we are a planetary organism. 2012, this is the time. That means, okay, we've passed the tipping point of the political process. We're at the tipping point, or fast approaching the tipping point, where everything in the global climate change process becomes thoroughly irreversible. That tipping point is, I've been told, is by the people who are in the business of monitoring the climate change and the science of it and so on, that tipping point is 2012. There's another tipping point, and that's in 2012 when the solar flares begin to come out again from the sun after a dormant period. There'll be a large flurry and peak of them coming in late 2012, early 2013. I don't know if you're aware of it, I think it was in 2006 or 2007, the largest magnetic breach in the magnetic field of the Earth took place when a huge solar windstorm hit the Earth's magnetic field, opened up a breach in the field the size of the Earth, flooded the Earth's atmosphere and magnetic field with unprecedented amounts of solar electrical plasmas. These plasmas immediately go into the polar regions, and they get stored there. There's a tremendous amount of plasma now stored at both the North and the South Pole. When the solar storms start to occur again in 2012, NASA is on record anticipating that there will be another flare powerful enough to hit the electromagnetic field, activate the plasmas in those two poles, so those plasmas come flooding out of the poles and knock out the electromagnetic grid. Just hope you're not in an elevator. They say knock out the electromagnetic grid for up to 3 months. Well, if the electromagnetic grid of this civilization is knocked out for 3 months, it takes 12 hours for most of the water supplies are governed by electricity. After 12 hours, if you're way on top of that 80th floor of your favorite apartment and flush the toilet, it ain't going to happen. Besides, you're going to be walking down the stairs trying to get out of there. There's also a tipping point there in the magnetic field. Something like that happens, and the magnetic field is shaped like here's the sun, and then here's the Earth, and then the magnetic field comes around like this, and there's like a big tail called the magnetosphere. It goes out about 40,000 miles in space. And there's a point there where the plasmas from the North Pole and the plasmas from the South Pole come and make what's called a reconnection. And when they make a reconnection, there's kind of like a feedback effect that then jolts the entire magnetic field, causes very powerful auroras and so on. But when that feedback effect occurs at that reconnect point in the magnetic field, we're anticipating there's very possibly what we call a time quake will occur. A time quake is like an earthquake, only it's a rupture in the space-time matrix. I have a lot of friends in Novosibirsk at the Russian Academy of Sciences who've been doing research on what happens when you break the magnetic field, a person's biomagnetic field, personal biomagnetic field. When you have ruptures of that field, what happens is they have memory loss. Sometimes that's good because then it's a good way of reprogramming, you know, and you want some of those memories anyway. I'm a new person. I didn't know that. What we're talking about with the time quake is that rupture there where the memory field, that we all live in a common memory field. We all live in a common information bank. If we say internet, we all know what we mean. If we say earth, we all know what we mean. Say ocean, we know what we mean. Say money, we know what we mean. The technology, we know what we mean. All that is held together. That forms a common memory matrix that we live in. It's held together by the particular timing programs that hold our minds in a particular condition or state. Well, a timequake means that there's a break in that memory field matrix such that if there's a long enough break, then it's like, wow, that didn't even exist, did it? Is this a new world? What were we talking about? Let's start over. And at the same time, we are dealing, we don't live alone down here. There's 10 billion galaxies at least. That's 10 to the 10th power galaxies. And each one of those galaxies has an average of 10 to the 10th power stars. Multiply 10 to the 10th power by 10 to the 10th power, and you'll go crazy trying to figure out, what that is. A computer can't handle it. Too many zeros. There's that many stars, and then out of that many stars, even if only half of those 10 to the 10th power times 10 to the 10th power stars had a planetary system, if only half of them had a planetary system, and each of those planetary systems average 10 more planets, how many planets are there? Now you go crazy again. And out of those planets, you tell me this is the only one that has life, NO. Life is a universal phenomenon. Mind is universal. Mind creates number. Number creates, mind and number create intelligence. That's why all the great early philosophers like Pythagoras, they dealt with numbers. Hermes Trismegistus, numbers. The Kapila, who started the Samkhya system of pre-Vedic philosophy in India, Samkhya means number. Because the intelligence first is grasped through the process and power of enumeration. Number, mind, time, space, all exist as information layers of intelligence that pervade the entire universe. So we are obviously not alone. As Daniel Pinchbeck was talking about the crop circles. Of course, the crop circles are a creation of a psychotelepathic technology. Look, Ma, no machines. Who's doing that? Higher intelligence that has superior psychotelepathic technologies is saying, hey, hello. You too can do this if you give up your toys. Stop scrambling like idiots for money, trying to save money more than you're trying to save your planet. You too can do this. Psychotelepathic technologies are a function of the advance into the next evolutionary stage, which is called the noosphere, which occurs once we pass through the eye of the needle in 2012. We live in an ocean of consciousness. We live in an ocean of intelligence. There are levels of intelligence far higher than ours. We've enslaved ourselves to a third-dimensional belief system that is tied to the clock and to the Gregorian calendar. This is Sunday. Everybody knows that. That's because we're all in the same program. But it's not Sunday in the Pleiades. It's not even Sunday on Saturn. It's only Sunday in our mind and nowhere else. It's not Sunday for that palm tree. And it's not Sunday for the dolphins or the fish or anything else. It's only Sunday in our mind. That's what I mean by some of the illusions that keep us enslaved. We live that time regulator has nothing to do with correct mathematics. It's not intelligent. So it keeps us stupid. We don't want to change. We'd rather hold on to what we got and see if we can save it at the expense of what we think is the rest of the environment. But we're being clobbered anyway, so. We've been enslaved to this third dimensional level, so it's hard for us to think higher intelligence. You know, what could be higher intelligence than creating a new information technology? That's primitive stuff. That's punk technology. It's technology for punks. Real. It's kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger talk. Real technology, not sissy technology. That's that psychotechnology that creates the crop circles. No machines. But we can create crop circles that look like computer grids. What else can we do? Those are just little clues of the higher intelligence. So we're slowly breaking up. You know, it's like, help me out of here, Mom. We're all suffocating. We're asphyxiating not only in the bad air and the CO2 and everything else that we're creating, we're asphyxiating in our bad ideas. That's the worst part. And we can't, these ideas, that we think we let go of these ideas, and then we find that they're chasing us. They're making us run in circles. We can't get rid of them. That's because we have to break out of the shell. You got to get out of the box. We have to just get out of the box completely. Because the point is, the box is shattering anyway. So let your mind free and get out of the box now. Beat the rush. Get out of the box and experience freedom and prepare. Prepare for the next time. Time we speak of, oh, in that time, we did it like this, or in that time, they thought this way. We can't hardly even imagine how original indigenous people actually really think, how they really feel. We can hardly imagine even what it was like to live in the time of Socrates. Oh, we think we know Greek philosophy or something. But what was it really like? What was that mental field really like? What did Pythagoras really, what was the quality of his thought and his consciousness really? What was the quality of consciousness before Ford Motors? It's a whole other quality of consciousness. Ford Motors comes along, new consciousness. I need my car. I can't get to the shopping center without it. No, duh. Now it's the same thing that happened when Ford Motors opened up its assembly line. Now, 100 years later, it's even worse, you know. I mean, it really is amazing because I was in an elevator in a hotel in wherever it was, Los Angeles, the last place I was. And there was some kind of gymnast meeting for young girls. And I get in the elevator, and there'd be 4 or 5 of these girls from 8 to 12 years old, and every single one of them was on their cell phone, or if you're reviewing pictures or doing text messages, no consciousness or awareness of anything else. They can't live without it, okay? The interesting thing about the technology is instantly addictive. Makes people instantly codependent. You need 12-step groups for people on cell phones. I admitted I was helpless over text messaging. I admitted I was helpless over taking another picture of my food at the restaurant. And then writing a blog about it. Like anyone cares. And this is the age, yeah, and then tweeter and twitting. Okay. This is the age of the glorification of the individual ego, because that's what that technology services. Everyone can Everyone's ego can have power with their little toy. Everyone can take pictures of their food, blog about it, text their friends that they just did a picture of their food and blogged about it. That's the end. What is the time? Go tap one of those toes. You know what time it is? Do you know where you are in time? This is the time. We are in the time. You can find this time written about in the book of Daniel. You can write the time written about in the book of Isaiah. You can find the time written about in the book of Revelation. You can find the time in the Hopi prophecy. You can find the time in the Mayan prophecy. You can find the time in the Maori prophecy. You can find the time in the Eskimo prophecy. Is the harmonic convergence of all prophecies. So we're heading down there, and it's like, guess what? We already went over the falls. So better learn how to free fall fast. When we get to 2012, and you better know how to land in your feet and start running. This is all a process, an inevitable cosmic evolutionary process. This is nothing new. It's happened before in other world systems. Some of those 10 to the 10th power divided by 2 stars with their 10 to the 10th power planets. This has happened before. It happened perhaps on Mars. It happened perhaps on what's now the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt didn't have such a good time. Mars also seems to have had some difficult moments. Asteroid belt, 5th planet, Mars, 4th planet, Earth, 3rd planet. Progression. Now it's our turn. Are we going to make it? Are we going to be able to raise our consciousness as a critical mass to the frequency of universal peace, unconditional love, absolute tolerance, complete forgiveness? And create a unified telepathic matrix around the planet of that critical mass so that there's a telepathic field of intelligence that gets noticed by our friends who like to do psychotechnology we call crop circles. They want to see, hey, can you guys do it? Because we who are doing your crop circles, we had to learn that way too once. This is one planet going around its orbit 19 miles a second. Pretty fast. And yet it seems like we're standing still. One planet. The biosphere, this planet is a series of sheaths and layers. The core, the molten iron crystal core, and then the lithosphere with all its different mantles and things. It's supposed to tectonic plates and the little continents that shut up out of the water. The hydrosphere, the oceans, and the bodies of water. The atmosphere, the air we breathe, we hope. The biosphere. All these are one field. Like all the water is the same. All the ocean, well, there's only one ocean really. We say that's the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific. But if you look at the map, it's all just one ocean. Originally, it was all just one continent too, Pangaea. And all is just one life too. This life, the unitary form and organization of life, we call the biosphere. Now, the biosphere simply means all of life as a unity participating in the process of maintaining certain geochemical cycles from a really third-dimensional point of view. That's our function, is to be in balance, keeping all the different cycles in order. In the biosphere, everything is maintained by the pressure that every species exerts on every other species. If, for instance, like if there weren't this kind of pressure, for instance, by tomorrow the cockroaches would be all over the planet. But because of the pressure that all the species exert on each other, a relative balance is maintained. The human species has broken that balance. The human species has been growing exponentially in the last 200 years thanks to technology and industrialization. It's completely broken the balance, it destroyed the balance of the biosphere, but it's all just part of a process. It's part of the process precipitating, there's no change without crisis. Precipitates the crisis known as the crisis of the biosphere, noosphere transition. We're going from one stage of evolution to another stage of evolution, the noosphere. The 5,125-year cycle from 3113 or 3114 BC, the first dynasty of Egypt, first city in Mesopotamia, the city of Ur, all the way to the present moment. That 5,125-year cycle has been nothing but a very short little moment in terms of Earth's 4 billion year history. Just a little, and then this little, we went from Babylon to tweet and Twitter. Sound familiar? Tower of Babel, tweet and Twitter. One continuum of nonsense. In this continuum of nonsense, every so often someone comes along and says, God gave me these 10 commandments. Can you follow them? No, get out of here. Another one comes along and says, hey, God told me to tell you this. Will you believe it? No, get out of here. The nonsense always wins in the end. But all the spiritual messages have all sunk in and created a subconscious layer of spiritual intelligence. And that's what we draw on. That despite all outer appearances, there's enough of us in this world who know how to draw on the collective spiritual intelligence that underlies this whole mess. So all of this has just been one brief 5,125 solar orbit, to be precise, biomutational phase. We're going from a late stage of Homo sapiens where it appears that the DNA wiring was just a little off to a stage of Homo noosphericus, the noospheric human. We're going, and to get there we have to go through this little window, this quantum shift, this little boom, cosmic burp, timequake, whatever we want to call it, where when that timequake happens, then we receive a great influx of cosmic intelligence in the form of a holographic matrix that gives us a new program. But we have to have that open heart, open eyes, open mind, spiritual intelligence, give up your toys, start a garden and love your neighbor. Then you can receive this new information matrix. This whole process is taking us to a point where we are going to be experiencing levels and types of harmony that we did not know were possible. Harmony is like people say, oh, that's like for dreamers. That's not social harmony. Obviously, we have no social harmony. What are you talking about? That utopian schemer, dreamer type of thing. That's because we don't understand. We make our value judgments from within the box that gives us our ideas. And so, of course, if the if the mental atmosphere of the box is shaped by a program that has no real intelligence to it, and then of course we're going to think that it's impossible to have a dream of world peace, or impossible to dream of a world where everyone's an artist, and everyone's making art, and everyone's working on how to psychotelepathically transform the garbage into art. We have to step across this little threshold of disbelief and belief. Do you believe that we actually live in a universe where higher intelligence is the governing order of reality? Can you actually believe that there is an intelligent design, to use a bad word, in some scientists' minds, that there's intelligent design to the universe, that we're part of an evolutionary program? Everything comes in stages, that there's evolution that goes in stages. The Darwinians talk about this thing where we came from a little something or other back here and evolved into this through some magical random process. Even that goes in stages. But the cosmic evolution goes in stages from lesser and lesser to greater and greater and greater states of consciousness, of awareness. Life, you start with the inorganic matter, and at one point you have, if you look at the structure of crystals, of silicon crystals, it's got a lattice structure that almost looks like the DNA. There are 32 types of crystal symmetry. Someplace along there, there's a zap, and it says, boom, 32 types of crystal symmetry, 64 DNA codons. Let's double that number. And then there's life. Life is how you advance from a permanent state of crystal consciousness into a vital state of biodynamic consciousness. And this biodynamic state of consciousness that then takes on the thrust of cosmic evolution, that we're going from stage to stage to stage. And now we've exhausted this stage. This stage, really, the way we've been doing this part, this planetary management, we just flunked. F in planetary management. Oh, you mean we were being tested for planetary management? Why didn't someone tell us? No, we were being tested for planetary management. We flunked. Unfortunately, we flunked with 3 years to go. So that means that we have time to say, we've worked miracles before, let's see if we can work another miracle. And the miracle is the miracle of consciousness. We want world peace. We need to have a creative, constructive image of peace. Nowadays, we think peace, we'll send peacekeepers over there with guns. Okay, that's peace. Oh, we'll send peace to your country. We're unloading tanks right now. Everyone remembers the images of the flower children putting flowers in the guns. That's peace. So it's all a matter of how ready and willing are you to cross over the threshold where you drop your baggage and say, okay, whatever you want to say, I stand naked before God. I stand naked before the higher power. I stand naked before the psychotelepathic intelligence that creates crop circles. I admit I'm a helpless, hopeless galactic citizen hoping I can become a galactic citizen. Then we get the ticket. Say, okay, you can go. If you can do that, if you can absolutely surrender every last shred. Oh, yeah, I see you holding on to that. Let go of that too. Let go of everything. Then you'll experience peace in yourself because you'll have stopped the inner conflict. Well, so if I let go of that, then I won't be able to do this, I think. So everyone's got this kind of little dialectical two guys talking to themselves thing. That's the opposite of peace. Peace is when the two guys in your head go, oh, I recognize you, you're me. And then they both dissolve. Takes time, of course. That's why I said, people say, what should we do to prepare for 2012? And the first thing I always say is, go sit and meditate. Take a 2-week Vipassana retreat and forget it. Just look at your mind and take responsibility for the stuff that you're putting out, which maybe most people aren't even interested in. Who cares what you think? Who cares what you think about yourself? Who cares? Why should you care what others think of you? Or why should you think anything about anyone else? Everyone's on their own learning. Everyone's on their evolutionary path. So just know your own mind. Just know, and like the Zen teachings say, you first have to see your own thinking process. You see how you're continuously churning and generating these thoughts and everything. But then it says, then you come to a point where you realize the best thinking is no thinking at all. That doesn't mean you become mindless. But if you don't have experience of no thinking, you don't have experience of creative silence or the creative gap where you have the insight to see the nature of reality. If your head's always busy thinking, trying to make a story up about what you just saw, you're not going to know anything, except for the reflection of your own thoughts. So, meditation and submission. Submit your ego. Some people say, I don't know. Dawkins wrote this book about the God delusion. If I submit, I'll become a victim of the God delusion. But, so what? Just submit there is something higher than you. If you don't think that, then you're in trouble. So just submit your whole self. Because you really submit your whole self, really release from all your attachments, really release from all your ego games, really release from all your pet theories, really release from all your pet addictions. We all got them. And just say, I surrender, I submit. I submit. I say, you submit like when in the prayer, I say, from the earth. Submit to the earth. Same. So you say, I submit. The earth is greater than me. Chief Joseph said, earth and myself are one mind. There's one mind only because Chief Joseph submitted to the earth. So we're on this, all on this path together. All of us. We all heard this call. 2012 Prophets Conference. Tipping point. Cancun? Okay, Cancun. I submit and accept. It can happen anywhere. It can happen. The turning point could happen right here, right now. Wow. It happened at the Ami Malia Resort. A significant turnaround in consciousness was recorded. We all heard a call. So we came to that call. Sure, it has its dimensions that came from this place here, and the Maya thought this, and so on. But we're a planetary organism. Sure, cultural biodiversity is what makes this whole organism colorful. But first of all, we have to get down to, yes, we are a planetary organism. Now you'll notice something about planetary organisms. Ants and dolphins and trees. They're all if you watch like bunches of ants, crawling on the ground, they get up in the morning, especially as the weather gets hotter, and you sit there and say, okay, they all come out of this little hole, and boy, they move really fast. You don't know where they're going, but they got one stream going this way, and they got another stream going this way, and they kind of go all the way in between each other, but they never bump into each other. They don't have, highway accidents. Sometimes they'll stop, and a couple guys will go with their little antennas and go tweet, tweet, tweet. That's their form of tweeting Twitter. And they'll just cruise along, But they all know how to mind their own business, and they're all on a telepathic stream. They don't bump into each other. They all got their jobs. They know what to do. At the end of the day, they come back and go. They're a planetary organism, and through wherever you are on the planet, they are doing the same thing. They all have this, like, if you go way inside there, they all got this kind of like telepathic matrix called ant consciousness, And and then when they know, they say, hey, did you get that? There's going to be an earthquake in 20 minutes. Duck. And so they'll go back in their hole. The birds know that. They're, it's going to be an earthquake. Shut up and go to your tree. They all go silent. Everybody knows that but us. Because we're too externalized in our consciousness. We forgot how to feel and think inside and how to know telepathically. We're going to the telepathic dimension of reality. When we talk about the noosphere, the meaning of 2012 is that we're passing this 5,125-year biomutational phase and heading into the noosphere, the mind of the Earth, the mental sphere of planet Earth. And just, we have to realize that we're planetary, one unified planetary organism. When we do that, we'll find that, and we all have to get this, like when we talk about the harmonic convergence of 2012 and the Rainbow Bridge, what we're talking about is, by the time we get to Gregorian, January 1st, 2012, that we need to already begin to function as a unified matrix of open heart, love, unconditional, ears and eyes wide open, mind open to the great beyond, as one matrix, highly evolved ants. Not bumping into each other, not being competitive with each other, not trying, ants they're not trying to get ahead of each other either. They all move fast. They all move in a common stream. No one's going taking the fast left lane. Everyone's just doing what they do. Now, what is it that we do? What is it that we do, we humans? What is our cosmic function? Our cosmic function is to unify our intelligence and create a telepathic field or grid or matrix of intelligence around the planet, a single unified planetary grid where we know we are all the same human, each with our little name tags, but all the same human, all the same kind of cell, complex molecule, if you will, who is an actual carrier or holder of consciousness. And that because the consciousness is not a property of my brain cells. My brain cells are just capacitors of consciousness. Consciousness exists as a universal, uniform layer, different levels and layers of consciousness, and our brains and our instrumentation, the capacitor of consciousness, and so we unify with that, and we create the planetary field of consciousness. That's what we begin to do that when we get to that magical date, Gregorian date, January 1st, 2012, and everyone says, 2012 arrived. And then through that, we create that field to hold that field through the year. Get together, there'll be different events, ceremonies, things happening everywhere, and building up as we get closer and closer to this date. And that's the harmonic in 1987, we called for the harmonic convergence on August 16th and 17th. And the point of that was to start a type of cultural consciousness revolution that would maintain some kind of awareness until we got to 2012. And so that cultural consciousness revolution has been moving along, dispersing itself, sometimes coming together, sometimes falling apart, but still staying together enough so that all of us heard the call and came here. Okay, and said, what can I do? Well, this is what you can do. You can maintain your integrity, and you can go learn how to empty your mind, and you can learn how to submit, and then become a genuine open vessel, and then form a matrix with everyone else who is doing this particular process. And you will find that by doing this, that we're actually creating a field of peace. We're field of peace because our minds are becoming more at peace. We know, hey, there's something else coming. You don't need to struggle so hard to try to maintain your position in the old, what we call 1260 line. 1260 artificial 12-month calendar, 60-minute mechanical hour program. You don't have to try so hard to maintain your place in line. That's okay every so often. You'll just drop out. I got it together. I know where to get my garden. I got my veggies. Got my solar panel. Got my meditation cushion. Practice telepathy. Become a genuine biospheric dropout, noospheric drop in. And that will get us through. We've got a lot of people. We've been working for a number of years also on the Rainbow Bridge for 2012 is the culmination of the harmonic convergence. Harmonic convergence was 2 days in 1987. 2012 is the whole year. So every day you can do something that converges harmonically with the cosmos and with your neighbors. We've also been working the Rainbow Bridge. The Rainbow Bridge, many prophecies talk about the Rainbow Bridge. The Rainbow Bridge, the Antakarana, as they say in Hindu, which originally means the mind, is the bridge between the worlds, between the third and the fourth dimension. We've been living purely in this third dimension. We're going to become bi-level, bi-dimensional creatures. We're going to be third, fourth dimensional creatures. So we're building the bridge that maintains us in fluid third, fourth dimensional functioning. There's literally the Rainbow Bridge. The vision of the Rainbow Bridge is that when we get to the peak moment in 2012, that there was a number of people practicing telepathy to do this. The principle is that our brains are continuously emitting electrical charges. Our bodies, we have biomagnetic, electromagnetic fields, and we're training our minds to the electrical charges of our brains to hook up with the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and particularly at those points when those solar flares hit, to telepathically entrain the two auroras to come and join each other at the center, at the equatorial zone, and form a permanent auroral rainbow bridge. Okay. So we're working on that. That's, if you go to one of our websites, www.noosphere forum, click on the upper corner where it says Charming the Rainbow Serpent, and you'll see some of the details of the rainbow science behind this project. Everyone can participate. Everyone can visualize a rainbow around the Earth that connects the two poles like this. We got buttons and pins like that. So that's the vision. That's the vision of the healed Earth. That's the vision of the bridge that connects us from the third to the fourth dimensions. That's the bridge that heals the Earth. So these are the projects that we have going forward to meet the 2012 deadline. letting the superior intelligence know, we're going to catch up with you. We'll do our crop circle soon. Just give us another 3 years to get the method down. How much time do we have, Cody? Yeah, okay. I think I've given you the basic script. I want everybody, you know, I have a good friend, I'm going to call him up here in a minute. He asked me, well, what's everybody going to get out of this conference? What are they going to do when they leave? Who's here? Are they just robbers, or somebody take something and go hide with it and look at it in the corner? No, we all have to leave here knowing that we can create the telepathic matrix of peace and love, and that we can blanket the earth with this matrix in 2012 and make it so pure and so undefiled and so powerful that it will start to change other people's minds. They say, oh, something else is going on here. It isn't like the movie, is it? No, we're talking about stabilizing the earth with a planetary field of telepathic peace and love. So everyone can leave here knowing that we can do this and that we can begin to practice meditation. Everyone's heard about Zen, just a simple Zen. Okay? Just breathe out your thoughts. Clear your mind, experience the gap. It's really simple. Do that 15 minutes a day. Just for starters. Take that 2-week retreat if you can, when you can. That takes at least that much to really realize what kind of garbage you've been recycling. And submit. Submit wholeheartedly to God, to the higher force, to the Galactic Federation, whatever you want to call it. It's something bigger and higher than you. And it's a unified field, too. It's not, there's whatever everyone submits to, whatever they call it, we're all submitting to the same thing. If you submit wholeheartedly, you've done it. And know that, and then share this with everybody you know. Say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what's coming down. We're headed for an evolutionary shift. Don't panic. The politicians will never get it right. So don't worry about it. Let's just move forward. I showed you this banner of peace. This is the banner of peace, okay? And this is universal peace. This is peace through culture. There's peace without borders. Peace as the bond of our one human kinship. Our one human family. I'd like to bring up an old friend of mine to honor him. Sir Reinhard Ruge. Can someone help him come up here, please? So this is Sir Reinhard Ruge. I want to show you his cape. He is Sir Reinhard Ruge because he was knighted by the Order of the Maltese Cross. He has worked and labored for peace and the unification of all religions all his life.
Well, it's a great honor and a great pleasure to congratulate my dear old friend José Argüelles for his tremendous work, his wonderful presentation here, and his everlasting effort to create a future in which we can all live. And also, I want to congratulate him again on his birthday today. My name is Reinhard Ruge. By profession, I'm a civil hydraulic engineer and a peace worker. I'm living at the sacred valley of Tepoztlan in the state of Morelos, Mexico. I'm a citizen of this planet Earth, and I've been following José Argüelles around for more than 20 years to see his wonderful work, his thoughts, and his achievements. We all know that we have to achieve world peace as soon as possible. Otherwise, we won't survive as a human species on this planet. As José mentioned, many of us will go home and say, oh, it was a wonderful conference. Now let's have a cup of coffee and rest. What do? We have to do something. I just want to do or give you a very small idea of what you could do. For example, you might remember that on the 6th of August of 1945, the first atom bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. And the effects were absolutely terrible. Within a second, 150,000 people just vanished, and another 150,000 were damaged for life. So many people in the world have forgotten that. And I think you all, when you go home, you should find a way that your head of state and all the heads of state go to Hiroshima every year on the 6th of August and see what happened there. Maybe then they will start to understand what will happen today if they press the wrong button. That is very necessary. I want to repeat the words I gave on the farewell speech of the Olympic World Youth Camp in 1980 in Moscow. As it says in the Testament, we have to change our swords into plowshares and our spears into pruning hooks. And that we have to do fast. And I hope we can all work along this line and go on and on and on. I might mention that at this point I'm the honorary president of the World Constitution and Parliament Association, which has worked for about 50 years on establishing a world unity in a similar image to the European Union. And we need this in all the aspects which José laid out so clearly, especially on our own and psychological fields. I wish José all the best, and I wish that José will repeat many, many more birthdays so that he can send the message he has received all over the planet and to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we could all join hands now, and we're going to sing.
Thank you.
Okay, José.
Wait. Oh, wait right here. Okay, wait right here. Wait right here a minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just keep facing the audience. Keep facing the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They're going to sing a song called Imagine by John Lennon. I'll help you out here. If you come with me.